Chapter 13. On that day they read in the book of Moses in the audience of the people, and therein was found written that the Ammonite and the Moabite should not come into the congregation of God forever, because they met not the children of Israel with bread and with water, but hired Balaam against them, that he should curse them, howbeit our God turned the curse into a blessing. Now it came to pass, when they had heard the law, that they separated from Israel all the mixed multitude. And before this, Eliashib the priest, having the oversight of the chamber of the house of our God, was allied with Tobiah. And he had prepared for him a great chamber, where aforetime they laid the meat offerings, the frankincense, and the vessels, and the tithes of the corn, the new wine, and the oil, which was commanded to be given to the Levites, and the singers, and the porters, and the offerings of the priest. But in all this time was not I at Jerusalem, for in the 32nd year of Artaxerxes, king of Babylon, came I unto the king, and after certain days obtained I leave of the king. And I came to Jerusalem, and understood of the evil that Eliashib did for Tobiah, in preparing him a chamber in the courts of the house of God. And it grieved me sore, therefore I cast forth all the household stuff of Tobiah out of the chamber. Then I commanded, and they cleansed the chambers, and thither brought I again the vessels of the house of God, with the meat offerings and the frankincense, and I perceived that the portions of the Levites had not been given them. For the Levites and the singers that did the work were fled every one to his field. Then contended I with the rulers, and said, Why is the house of God forsaken? And I gathered them together, and set them in their place. Then brought all Judah the tithe of the corn, and the new wine, and the oil unto the treasuries. And I made treasurers over the treasuries, Shelemiah the priest, and Zadok the scribe, and of the Levites, Pedaiah, and next to them were Hanan, and the son of Zachar, the son of Mattaniah, for they were counted faithful, and their office was to distribute unto their brethren. Remember me, O my God, concerning this, and wipe not out my good deeds that I have done for the house of my God, and for the offices thereof. In those days saw I in Judah some treading winepresses on the Sabbath, and bringing in sheaves, and lading asses, as also wine, grapes, figs, and all manners of burdens, which they brought into Jerusalem on the Sabbath day. And I testified against them in the day wherein they sold victuals. There dwelt men of Tyre also therein, which brought fish and all manner of ware, and sold on the Sabbath unto the children of Judah and in Jerusalem. Then I contended with the nobles of Judah, and said unto them, What evil thing is this that ye do, to profane the Sabbath day? Did not your fathers thus, and did not our God bring all this evil upon us and upon this city? Yet ye bring more wrath upon Israel by profaning the Sabbath. And it came to pass that when the gates of Jerusalem began to be dark before the Sabbath, I commanded that the gates should be shut, and charged that they should not be opened till after the Sabbath. And some of my servants set I at the gates, that there should no burden be brought in on the Sabbath day. So the merchants and sellers of all kinds of ware lodged without Jerusalem once or twice. Then I testified against them, and said unto them, Why lodge ye about the wall? If ye do so again, I will lay hands on you. From that time forth they came no more on the Sabbath. And I commanded the Levites that they should cleanse themselves, and that they should come and keep the gates to sanctify the Sabbath day. Remember me, O my God, concerning this also, and spare me according to the greatness of thy mercy. In those days also I saw Jews that had married wives of Ashdod, and Ammon, and Moab. And their children spake half in the speech of Ashdod, and could not speak in the Jews' language, but according to the language of each people. And I contended with them, and cursed them, and smote certain of them, and plucked off their hair, and made them swear by God, saying, Ye shall not give your daughters unto their sons, nor take their daughters unto your sons, or for yourselves. Did not Solomon the king of Israel sin by these things? Yet among many nations was there no king like him, who was beloved of his God. And God made him king over all Israel. Nevertheless, even him did outlandish women cause to sin. Shall we then hearken unto you to do all this great evil, to transgress against our God in marrying strange wives? And one of the sons of Joiada, the son of Eliashib the high priest, was son-in-law to Sanballat the Horonite. Therefore I chased him from me. Remember them, O my God, because they have defiled the priesthood, and the covenant of the priesthood, and of the Levites. Thus cleansed I them from all strangers, and appointed the wards of the priests and the Levites, every one in his business, and for the wood offering at times appointed, and for the firstfruits. Remember me, O my God, for good. We see here that Nehemiah has really been here for between 12 and 14 years. He's probably very tired. He decides, or actually has decided even before he came, he told the king Artaxerxes in the palace at Shushan, Susa, that he was going to be gone a certain period of time, and it's time for him to return now and touch base with the king. And it's going to take him many months in order to get back there. And so he leaves, and what he doesn't know is that Eliashib, who is the presiding high priest, apparently, who has charge over the offerings that are brought to the temple, puts everything in a room for Tobiah, who is one of the two men, along with Sanballat, who have tried to sabotage everything Nehemiah has done in the past 12 to 14 years. And that Eliashib lays out for Tobiah to use and take advantage of all the offerings, all the tithes, everything that's there, for him to use for his own personal use, presumably to sell or whatever, and none of it makes it to the Levites or the singers who are supposed to benefit from these things. Finally, Nehemiah reestablishes his relationship with the king, brings him up to scratch on all the things that have happened, and gets permission to come back. When he comes back, he finds this out. He also finds out that Eliashib, as the presiding high priest, has committed a horrible sin. He is married to Sanballat's daughter, whom he refuses to put away, which means he cannot serve as high priest. He's not worthy. And so he is then expelled from the temple. They take all of Tobiah's stuff and throw that out. They clean it out, and then he recognizes that, of course, all the food and everything that's supposed to have been going to the priests and the Levites hasn't been going to them because it's been going to Tobiah, who's probably been selling it for money. And they appoint people who they trust to make sure that all of these things are redistributed now from here on out. And it's interesting because the Samaritans, this Eliashib, goes north to Samaria, and apparently then the Samaritans, Sanballat, sets him up in a phony temple up there in opposition to the temple in Jerusalem. And there are still several hundred of these Samaritans doing the worship, the fraudulent false worship that they started up there today on Mount Gerizim with the temple that they built there to replace the one in Jerusalem. Thousands of years later, this thing is still going on. Last but not least, we see the wonderful Nehemiah, who sees people treading on a wine press, bringing sheaves of wheat in, people buying and selling on the Sabbath day, and he knows that that's wrong. And so what he does is he simply tells the people they shouldn't be doing that, but he also does something positive. He shuts the gates into the city of Jerusalem so that no trader or no farmer, nobody can bring stuff into the city to sell on the Sabbath day. There's a few of the merchants that apparently stay outside the gates, and he sends them a message and says to them, "Why are you there? If you want to stay there, I'll lay hold of you. In other words, I'll confiscate your stuff. I'll see to it that that's it." He said, that's it. They didn't bother coming anymore. Then he puts the Levites in charge of the gates. The gates are closed. Never going to have that problem again. And he prays that Heavenly Father will look on him and not charge any negative things because he's tried his best.